Welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Snav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmit, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And this is A Storm of Swords, chapters 79 and 80, Jon and Sansa. In these chapters, Jon gets elected Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and Littlefinger dumps his wife.
Ha ha ha!
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. A little shout out to Oz on Discord for that Littlefinger dumping his wife metaphor. It was great. I made note of it. And I used it, so thank you. So, Harmith, who died in these chapters?
Oh my gosh. Lysa.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that's it too.
Yeah. Pretty big.
Yeah. But the death isn't even like the wow. It's all the answers that we finally get.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think because we got them right at the end of me reading, I don't even think I've processed everything yet.
Well,
so I don't even, because the thing is, in these books, every time you find something, it connects back to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just read these, an hour ago. Or, well...
We've been talking for 2 hours, but before that...
We've been talking for 2 hours, but I basically, before us getting on here and talking, I haven't had a chance to process them, so I feel like I still don't understand the magnitude, but even I'm, shell-shocked right now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, it was one of those things where it's sometimes you read something and you're like, I know how big this is, but at the same time, I know that I don't. You're aware of how much you're just, blown away. And it was, I was like, what did you just say? Because also, I was right, but I still could have never thought.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is what makes it so amazing, because I feel like most media that I read, when I watch things, I'm bad at predicting because I'm not processing it the same way. It's not getting as deep in my mind. But when I'm reading, because I feel like I'm so visual, so when I'm reading and annotating and thinking, I feel like I can always, I always just, know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But these books are, even if you know what's going on, you don't.
Yeah, because all the clues are there, so you pick up on them and you get a sense of what's going on, but then you get the revelation, and it's it still blows it out the water.
It's always so much bigger than you think it's gonna be. So even if you know, you don't, because it's always bigger than you think it is. And I feel like so many series just can't do that because the world building just isn't there. So there's not enough of a structure for there to be depth, you know? They have one story, but
it's
this is
when I
a
read,
whole castle.
Man, what's that called? It's a major fantasy TikTok book, and I remembered the name until just when I went to say it.
That's funny.
I remember the name of the author.
Who was the author?
Samantha Shannon.
Samantha Shannon. Okay, I don't know.
Priory of the Orange Tree. Finally, thank you. So it's this big book, it's very famous on TikTok and Book Talk and whatever, right? And I was like, I'm going to give it a try. And it's a big fantasy book, and it's got lots of world building, but it doesn't have the layers that A Song of Ice and Fire has. So I was putting layers onto it that didn't exist. because I was trying to make it more complicated than it really was.
Yeah.
Like at this one point, like somebody gets beheaded or something, right? And I was like, well, actually, that wasn't really the person getting beheaded. They got a dead body, and it was like it was a fake out. No, it's just what it looked like. Like there was no fake out.
Stop. That's so funny. Honestly, I agree. This has poisoned my interpretation of other media because I went back to this. Okay, there was this show that I used to watch when I was a kid, and it's basically like this Indian soap opera, like serials, if you know what that means in the context, right? And I was just like watching like with my family.
Oh my god, I love that one.
I love that one, right? It's so good. It's like perfection in my head. In some ways, it's perfection, right? You know, like there's some problematic shit, but in some ways, it's perfection. But when is there not going to be? But in many ways, it is perfection. So I went back to it, obviously, and I'm watching it, and it's like, as much as I love it, and I just called it perfection, there's some things where I start I'm like, oh, well, she's doing that because of this, and she's actually not evil. She's this multifaceted, multidimensional character. And then it's like, oh no, she's just supposed to be a jealous, spoiled brat. Wait, she's not. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing where I was giving it more depth than there really was, because so much media isn't written for that depth.
Yeah.
That we crave.
And like The Prior of the Orange Tree has depth. And it's great for what it is. I was just looking for something else in it that wasn't there.
You were projecting.
So, like, George R. R. Martin has us spoiled, and then he won't give us a book. So now he has us angry because we have all these crumbs, and we don't have the conclusion to so many of the crumbs, you know?
No, I get it now. I feel how you, well, not that I like get it emotionally, but before I was just like, okay, why are you mad? Just like wait for the book was kind of my attitude. But now it makes sense.
Like imagine I feel like I'm far enough in for it to make sense. Having theorized about a billion things and being certain that like to some degree that they're right, but never knowing because the book isn't there, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a mindfuck.
Yeah. Anyway, we also see what I meant when I was like, there's still more to come. This isn't even it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there's still more to come, and this isn't even it.
But there's only like 2 chapters left.
There's still more to come, and this isn't even it.
Also, I'm a little evil genius because I was right that we only had 2 more episodes.
Well, I still haven't.
I'm just a genius. I don't care. I'm already confirming it. I don't care if you confirm or deny it.
All right. Well.
Kindly, respectfully.
Sure.
With all due respect. Anyway, I'm looking at my book and I'm like, whoa. Watch it be like 1 chapter and it's like, honestly, I'm so scared. What do you mean there's still more to come? There's literally 1 chapter. The only way there can be more to come is if bad things happen. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Honestly, you know what I'm hoping for? Sorry, I know this isn't the predictions portion, but I'm doing it anyway.
It's okay.
My prediction, but more so my hopeful prediction, is that if you're so hyped up about this ending, you know? And, okay, book 1 ending, so good. Amazing. Like, Dany gets the dragons, and what was the other amazing? Oh, Robb gets the throne, Robb becomes, like, king of the north. Mm-hmm. All of that, amazing. Like, so good, right? Second book ending, literally trash. Only bad things were happening. Get out and stay out. Like, absolutely not. And I'm hoping that this one, after all of the turmoil and everything, like all the agony, I really hope that we can just wrap up with a nice little bow. Watch me regret that and watch everybody just be laughing inside their hearts.
Sort of happy news I don't know. I just want because like John's already Lord Commander.
I know, but the thing is, like, yes, that's good news, but there wasn't a big deal about it. Like when Robb became king, he was crowd surfing. You know?
Right.
Like, these people were just like, oh, hey. Like, yes, they were sweet about it, but I think there's a certain, like, it's also different, because with, like, all these lords and people supposed to have all this decorum, and then, like, Robb's just crowd surfing, like, it had more of an impact, but, like, they already like Jon, and they're already kind of like, hey, buddy, good job, and this was just even more, hey, buddy, good job. Like, there was no, like, big, like, wow! It was all just, like, kind of disguised threats, Like, if you don't do a good job, you damn Nepo baby. Like, that was basically it. Like, so, like, yeah.
The thing is, you could never know. You could never fucking know.
I could never know what the ending would be?
What's
like, what
coming.
Oh, right? Okay.
You just,
so
there's,
I'm nowhere near predicting it or anything.
Like, you could predict the wildest shit and you would be so wrong. Like, just go ahead and give me, like, top 2, like, wildest thing you can predict, and I can guarantee it's gonna be wrong.
You feel comfortable saying that?
Yes.
You feel comfortable saying that and raising my expectations that it's gonna blow the roof off this place?
Yes.
And the roof off of, like, Earth?
Yes.
Okay. Really? It's that intense? That you're... Because you won't even give me anything, and this is a pretty big crumb you're giving. This could be like a cookie, not just a crumb.
But also, you have to remember, I'm me and you're you, so, like, our scales might be different, but, you know.
Okay. Okay, what's the wackiest stuff? What's the most... Okay. Okay, the wackiest thing could be, Dany somehow makes it to Westeros immediately, and kills Peter, and we find out that Peter is actually Jon's father in disguise. It wasn't actually Ned Stark, it was actually Peter. Crazy, right? And Dany teams up with Jon because she feels bad for killing his actual dad, and she's like, oh my god, I can never tell you.
So, Jon isn't Ned's bastard, Jon's Catelyn's bastard, somehow.
Stop, yeah.
Not wild enough.
What? But none of that makes any sense. None of that could ever happen.
Exactly. Okay.
And it's even more... Wait, now I'm excited. Okay, I'm so glad we're reading this in, like, 4 days. I'm so glad you moved this up. Imagine
my excitement. How am I supposed to hold this in? How am I not supposed to spoil you on any of this?
Then just do it.
I want to so bad, but I won't, because...
We'll get views. If you spoil me on the podcast, my reaction will get views.
No. Your reaction when you read it will get views.
But anyway, these chapters... Okay, are you going to ask me how these chapters were?
Yes, but I have an evil plan concocting, so I'm going to take a second, think about it.
Oh no.
While you tell me what you thought of these chapters.
I'm scared for this evil plan. I should be the only evil genius in this household. Why are you being a little evil genius? Okay, what I thought of these chapters, Jon's chapter, so good. Love. But also, saw it coming. So the dramatics.
Yeah.
Theatrics, there we go.
It was definitely the letdown of the 2 chapters.
Yeah. Not that it was a letdown. It was amazing because good things happened, but it just wasn't, like, shocking or anything. Right. But I was so happy because I love Jon, like, you know?
Yes.
So happy.
Who would have thunk it?
Jon fangirl got tickets to the big concert, like, front row.
I think we finally
I've admitted it before. You're acting like this is an epiphany or something.
No, I feel like every time I say it, you're like, not a Jon fangirl.
No, I say, well, that's not because I'm a Jon fangirl. Okay. Like, for whatever you're saying it to. Anyway, so... This is like getting front row seats to his concert. We didn't get VIP. Like, I'm not gonna get to meet him, but it's still like front row, you know? So it's pretty good.
All right, next.
You said fangirl, and fangirl often applies to music. So, love. Sansa's chapter was so good. Because it started off so sad, and then it went so playful and so beautiful and like child, and then it got so ick because he showed up and he started being himself, and then it got scary because it was like, what is she doing, you know, like last time we were in this hall, Tyrion, Moondor, like this was not, and then there was anxiety, and then there was panic, and then there was like, what? So it was like, this chapter was so many emotions all at once. And I think that's why I got tired and stopped processing, because we'd been through so much by the end of the chapter. So it was really good, is the least of it. Okay, are you still thinking about your evil plan?
Kind-
Are you about to spoil
No.
me? Are you thinking about, should you spoil me on something or say something before you should tell me?
I'm just so consumed by my evil plan that I can't decide if it's good evil or bad evil.
Is it a current evil plan or is it for the future?
I don't know. Oh, you know what? It's irrelevant. But I heard that you loved this chapter, and I loved it too. So that's great. So,
yay!
Do you want to summarize these real quick so that we can get to the thing?
I can try. I don't think it's gonna be good.
3, 2, 1, go.
John's fighting, gets distracted because he's still thinking about his choice, and he's like, and then Ghost comes back and he's like, my choice is clear. And then he goes to the hall and they're choosing, and Stannis is like, y'all aren't getting out of here until you choose. And basically John gets elected. Mormont's Raven supposedly perches on him and supports him, and then they elect him, and like overwhelmingly elect him, and they're all basically like, you better not let us down, you're basically a nepo baby, but you've also kind of earned it, but you better not let us down.
Switch.
And that's kind of the chapter. Sansa. Okay, so Sansa's building a castle of dreams. Oh my god! Sorry, you sneezed and I got distracted. She's building a castle of her dreams, and Peter comes and wrecks it and kisses her, and Lysa sees it, and then Robert comes and they have this little altercation, and Lysa asks to see her, but she thinks it's because of that, and then she basically is like, Moondor, because she knows, but she doesn't, and then we find out that Lysa was in fact the one who killed Jon Arryn, but Peter convinced her to do it, and she did send the letter on Peter's behalf, or like Peter made her do it basically once again, and then she and then Peter drops her like
she's hot.
Yeah, okay, you know how stressful that was? There's so much, and then I started dwelling, and I was like, wait, I have to keep going, but I wanted to dwell because the reason I paused was A, because you sneezed and it distracted me.
Well, I gave you extra
B,
time
because
I gave you time.
I know,
the sneeze.
and then I know, and then second thing, no, I'm not blaming you, I'm just explaining. And then the second thing was that when I said she's building her castle of dreams, aka Winterfell, my brain started singing Castle on a Cloud from Les Mis, and so I really got distracted, and then I had to control myself.
Okay.
So anyway, here we are.
So, John is fighting Arn Emmett, who is this guy from Eastwatch, and he's pretty good. And John gets beat up real good most days, but he likes it because he wants to get better, and he's only going to get better by fighting people who are as good as him or better, and all of those things.
Exactly.
Except today, he is really getting the shit beat out of him.
Because he hasn't slept. Yeah. He basically walked the entire night because he couldn't sleep. He just walked the wall.
Exactly.
Like, okay, it's giving such old grandpa who gets up at 4 a.m. and like goes and checks on the crops.
He has a lot to contemplate. Okay.
I know, but. Okay, I'm on his side. I just am also making fun of him.
So
and yeah, he's not doing well, like at all.
He gets hit over the head, and his head and his helm ring from the force of the blow because it's that intense. And he kind of like gets shocked into this memory of playing swords with Robb in Winterfell. And how this one time he cried out, he was like, I'm the Lord of Winterfell. And Robb told him that he couldn't be the Lord of Winterfell because he was a bastard. My Lady Mother says you can't ever be the Lord of Winterfell.
Oh my god. And also he says, Kay, I thought I'd forgotten that. And obviously it's like trauma and you forget things. Mm-hmm. And also like he obviously actively tried to forget it. But my theory is also the reason that it comes back to him so strongly in this moment is also because Ghost is around.
Oh, I like that theory.
So it's like the whole power thing.
And also I was like, so maybe it's one of those like how in movies you get hit on the head and your memory comes back kind of thing.
Ah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I like that. Yeah, Ghost being around definitely heightens his senses and gives him extra powers and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so remembering this thing gets him real angry, and he goes at this poor Emmett guy.
Yeah.
And he's like yielding, but John can't even hear him and is just really going at it. And finally, like two guys have to pull him off of Iron Emmett. Otherwise, he's going to kill this guy, which is intense. John.
Yeah. This was such a shift. Because basically he was like, oh my god, I'm losing this, I'm not doing well, and then the anger just like transforms his fighting, which was
luckily Iron Emmett is very good natured and is like, it's okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, so John like has to leave, and
except he is like, now I know how Corin must have felt, and I'm like, did we need to say that? Did we need to say that?
Yeah, well, he needed to say something that would eventually lead John to leave and go sit on a bench and bury his head in his hands. And he's like,
so weird.
Well, yeah, because he's like, he's contemplative. That's like the theme of this chapter,
basically.
And he's thinking about like being, the Lord of Winterfell, being his heir, but he can't. When he thinks about that, he doesn't see Ned's face. He sees Catelyn's, and how she always looked at him, being like, "Who the fuck are you, and why the fuck are you here?"
Okay. I want to make a little callback to a discussion that we had in the Discord a few months ago, where it basically just came down to, like, for some reason it was like a different question of the week, and then somehow we ended up on Lady Catelyn, and we were all like, "Wow, slay Lady Catelyn," but we all kind of had the common idea of like, "Slay Lady Catelyn," but like, why would you do that to Jon? But then there was also some things of like, oh well, like she wasn't the absolute worst to Jon, and No. I had less evidence to say no before, and now I'm fully like, no. Like, like, because the thing is, like, we were in Lady Catelyn's head, and I don't think I've ever called her Lady Catelyn, and it feels weird. I think I'm being formal because I'm mad at her right now. Okay. Because we've always been in Catelyn's head a lot from this perspective. Like, we haven't gotten a lot of Jon being like, oh, Lady Catelyn sucked. Like, we really haven't gotten that at all. Even when she said those things to him, we didn't get, like, him being like, oh, she crushed me, like she always does. Like, there's never been any of that.
Yeah.
So I think seeing it from his perspective now, because we always saw how much she hated him, but we didn't really know how much it was shown.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's remembering the look, it's gotta show, like, it had to be that intense. That, like, he, even just from the look, he's like, wow, I'm this traumatized. Anyway...
Yeah, so you're saying you're glad she's dead and she deserved the red wedding.
I'm not saying that I'm glad she's dead. I'm saying that she treated Jon terribly, and I just need people to remember that, basically.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay, so he, like, gets out of there and goes to take a bath, and he's, thinking. He's thinking about Winterfell and how his father would have wanted him to restore it, and that's what they want. But then he remembers the Stone Kings that don't like him because he always has those dreams that are like, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Which to us theorizers is like, you don't belong here because you're a Targaryen, not a Stark. But like to Jon, it's like, you just don't belong here, Yeah, and then he's thinking about the weirwood and how it's the heart of Winterfell.
Yeah.
But then,
how can you kill the cart and keep the body? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's a weird analogy, but
well, that's like kind of what he's saying in a different way. He's like, that's the heart of it. Like, it's the soul. Like, that's what, like,
oh
that's
my god,
what
you said
heart.
Beliefs. I heard cart, and I was like, are you talking? I got so confused.
I was wondering why you were confused. I was like, it's a pretty common analogy. Like, if you kill the heart, the body dies. No, like, okay, come on.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I thought you were just tired, and I was like, okay, I'm
I
not
literally heard
you,
cart.
But...
Okay, so yeah, basically, he would have to forsake the old gods as well as burn down the weirwood if he is to become the Lord of Winterfell through Stannis.
Yeah. And so get the position and then remove every single thing that it stands for and every single thing that he learned from his dad.
Exactly.
Okay. Do that. Okay. Like, come on.
So he's hanging out in the bathtub.
Okay. Sorry. Obviously, I'm on his side. Even from the beginning, like, it's narratively obvious that he's gonna end up being like, okay, well, that's illogical. Why would I be Stannis' pawn, But even though I'm on that side, it's still just worrying, because it's like, it's like, if he's in that position of power, in a way, at least to a certain extent, he gets to control the damage that's done.
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you know what I mean? It's like, whoever else it ends up being, it could just be worse. So as much as I don't want Jon to do it, it's also like, oh, well, if it's not Jon, who's it going to be? Like, it's scary,
but then he's also responsible for any damage that is done.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't win in positions of power. That's the thing. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And that's just like a reality, and you need to be okay with that. But in his case, it's even worse because he won't even be the one in control either. I don't know. It just sucks. But anyway, I get the turmoil and I know what he's going to do, but I'm still worried either way.
Anyway, so he's taking a bath because he's try not to think about it, but also thinking about it. When he kind of comes to from his thinking, he hears all these people talking. And it's Alizar Thorn and what's his face, the pomegranate, trying to talk this guy, Othel Yarwick, the builder, who's also in the running, from stepping down and supporting Slint. And they're talking about how, like, Stannis doesn't like him, but who does Stannis like anyway? Besides, Tywin Lannister is the most powerful, not knowing that he's dead, and he favors Slint. I can show you his letter, Bowen Marsh said in a fretful, anxious voice. And he called him our faithful friend and servant, which, wow.
Dear God.
Yeah, so this is when Jon, like, sits up and, like, startles them and is like, okay, back to your scheming. Let me just get out of here.
Basically.
But I'm kind of glad that this letter from Tywin came up at some point eventually. Because otherwise it was kind of going to be, like, lost to the winds or whatever, you know? Like, we would know that he had sent this letter, but we wouldn't know what became of it.
Right, yeah.
But now we know what became of it. They've got it. And some of them buy it. So he leaves, and then he's like walking past all the places and reminiscing.
Wait, sorry, I have a point about that. Because I assumed that the letter was already in the running because the letter was what prompted Slint to be like, and me. Was Slint just in the running because of his own?
Oh yeah, because he was like, I want to run.
Oh,
like
I thought he got the confidence.
Yeah, maybe he got like Alizar Thorn on his side and got him to nominate him. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he needs any more overconfidence.
Oh, so he's already just like a pompous brat.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, I feel like they know about the letter.
Because I thought the letter was like him being like, nominate me Lord Commander.
No, I don't think the letter has come up until now.
Okay.
Like, he may know about it, but then he would have used it. I don't know. Because I think Bowen Marsh is the one who knew about it, and Bowen Marsh wasn't on their side yet, because Bowen Marsh himself was running, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Or whatever. But, yeah. He's just arrogant enough to be like, I just got here, but I deserve to be Lord Commander.
That's funny. Because I just assumed this entire time. Because he basically showed up after we knew from Tywin that he's like, oh, I promote him, you know? Huh, interesting.
Yeah. Either way, so Jon has left the bathhouse, and then he is going past all the buildings and kind of reminiscing about everything that's happened. And finally, he goes through the wall and out back. I was going to be like out into the backyard, you know?
Yeah.
Into the wild, beyond the wall. And he's thinking about it, and he's like, oh my God, these people are scheming, and they're going to get Janos selected. And Janos is going to hang me, so aren't I better off becoming the Lord of Winterfell instead?
Yeah.
Like, that's a very good point. Like, death or Lord of Winterfell, you know?
True. Yeah, and he's also thinking about, because he's like, he says at one point, like, oh, they're definitely going to be able to convince Yarwick, because he's not a man of strong convictions until it comes to building. So he's like, oh, he's, like, impressionable, they're just gonna, like, whatever. Like, he won't care, he'll just go along with it, because everyone else is like, do this, we're all doing this. And he's, like, worried, but it was such a nice surprise to see that actually, like, he kind of was just like, actually, no, I don't remember why I was gonna support you, Slint. Like, that was so nice, because Jon had me worried. I was like, what do you mean, buddy? And then Jon was wrong, and it was so nice.
So, basically, slay Yarwick. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you caught me on that. Okay, so he's walking past this prison camp that Stannis has created to keep all the captives from the free folks that he captured. And it doesn't mention anybody inside it, but there's, like, you know, that's where he's keeping them. Because I think at one point I was like, where is he going to keep all these people? And you were like, I don't know. And now we know.
Yeah, please.
So he goes and like sits on a stump past the camp, so into the woods somewhere. And so he's like, okay, do I want to be hanged for a turncloak by Janos Slynt, or do I forswear my vows and marry Val and become the Lord of Winterfell? And besides, if I need to marry her, I would have to steal her. And then we might have kids. And it's weird to think that I might have a kid. But I could name him Rob. And then we could also foster like Gilly's kid and Mance Rayder's kid. And then they could all grow up like siblings and it'd be great.
This was so sad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, John. Oh, because he's like, I'd never even let myself think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
About,
I feel like this is also, but I feel like this is also like, also brought on by like his whole relationship with Ygritte too, right? Because even that, he's like, I'd never even thought about it. I'd never even let myself open up to that being a possibility.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was also like his like push over the edge of like, oh, okay, well, now I'm thinking about it and I'm realizing that I've always wanted this. I just pushed it deep down. Which is so sad.
And he also realizes as he's wanted to be the Lord of Winterfell always. Yeah, and he's like, he thought guiltily, may the gods forgive me. And this is
he
when
wanted it as much as he had ever wanted anything.
Yeah, and this is when it switched over to like, it was a hunger inside him, sharp as a dragonglass blade. A hunger, he could feel it. It was food he needed, prey, a red deer that stank of fear, or a great elk proud and defiant. He needed to find and fill his belly with fresh meat and dark blood. His mouth began to water with the thought. Did you realize what was happening here? Or did it take you until it took him to realize, I'm thinking ghost
I think, I just was like, this is a weird metaphor, or this is a weird analogy. And I was just like, okay. But then after it was revealed, I was like, okay, this makes sense. He's like realizing his like true desire. And then his wolf's true desire is like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And it was such a cute little merging, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a long moment before he understood what was happening. And then immediately he's like, oh my god, Ghost! And then Ghost comes running up, and he's a bit leaner, but also bigger than he was. And quiet as ever. And oh my god, it was our reunion!
It was so beautiful.
It was the reunion we didn't get at the Red Wedding.
Literally, it's the only reunion we're probably getting for books to come.
Yeah, but it was great to see Ghost again, because we haven't seen him all book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or
he's
no,
back.
No, we saw him at kind of the beginning of the book or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
And
okay, so was he just like hanging out with the free folk and came through when they came through?
Well, he's not through. He's still beyond the wall.
So where was he like...
I guess he was just making his way from the point where John left him to here and got distracted by like hunting or whites or something. I don't know.
Okay, so he made it though.
Yes, he did make it.
Slay. I knew he could.
And it was also like he needed to be here for the dramatic effect of him, you know?
Of course, yeah. Please. Oh my god.
So he's looking at Ghost and his red eyes, and he's like, they're red, but not Melisandre's red. They're the Weirwood's eyes. Red eyes, red mouth, white fur, blood and bone, like a heart tree. He belongs to the old gods, this one. And he thinks back to like finding the pups and how this was the only one that was white as snow. He had his answer then. See, okay, when you predicted that John was going to be elected, you're like, then he wouldn't have to make the decision. I like this better because he makes the decision and then it just kind of works.
And then it happens, anyway. Yeah. I was thinking about this too, because then you like alerted me to it and I was like, oh, okay, this is cute. No, it is nice, but the thing is like, because the reason I didn't care is because I had already been like, well, it's his desire. That's what he wants anyway. Because all of these dreams and his whole thing of always like, I feel like, especially if he did end up becoming Lord of Winterfell, like, I think he would always feel like he like wasn't enough for it. And I feel like part of that would have always just pushed him to do this instead. Like, it just like made sense that he would want to do this. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't too concerned with if he wants it right now, because I'm like, oh, in the long term it's your want.
And I wasn't looking forward to him forswearing his, father's religion and all those things and burning the Weirwoods, because they're cool,
Yeah.
So yeah, he comes to this decision, which at this point he's basically deciding to get killed by Janos Slynt than be the Lord of Winterfell, which is an interesting like perspective on that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I would rather that than do this. So honor, he is Ned Stark's kid.
Yeah.
If not biologically, then like what's the word? Nurturally. Not nature, but nurture. Okay, so
yeah.
He goes back to Castle Black and he passes the Queen's men burning their night fire. And then he passes the King's men hanging out in the yard. And they're all like wary of Ghost. And John's like, oh, right. They've never seen anybody like Ghost before. It's kind of cool. But they finally like kind of let him through into the dining hall where there's a lot of noise. And people are like crowding around, standing, shouting. No one's eating. There's like no food in the dining hall. And he's like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah.
And it takes a second for people to notice him there. And once they do, they're like this hush falls and everybody's like looking at him. And he's like, what's going on here? Somebody please tell me. And Maester Raymond's like, well, your name has been put forth as Lord Commander. And John's looking like, which one of my friends pulled this jape? Is it Pip or is it Gren? And they're both like, it wasn't me. And then finally Dolores is like, actually, it was me. And I know it's a terrible thing to do to a friend, but better you than me.
Stop. He's so like, he's crazy.
I love that. Yeah. And Janos Lint is like, he's a traitor and a turncloak and a warg. I will not have it. I will not suffer it. To which
Shut up.
I wanted to smack him when I read that. Connor Pike rightfully is like, you won't suffer it? Who the fuck are you to suffer anything? You just got here. And
she doesn't even go here.
And then, like, everybody starts shouting again. And then finally, Alistair Thorne's like, hey, calm down, everybody. We can't leave until we choose because Stannis has forbidden any food to come in or us to go out. So let's have a choosing. Let's vote. And before we vote, my old friend Yarwick has something to say. And Yarwick gets up and he's like, well, guys, don't vote for me. I'm stepping down. And I was going to say that you should vote for Janos Lint. And before he can like really finish his sentence, Alice was like, yes, Janos Lint is the best man. He's the Lord Commander or the Lord of the Harrenhal. And somebody's like, he's never even seen Harrenhal. Yeah, so Yarwick's like, shut up. I have things to say. Now that I'm standing here, I don't recall why I thought Slint would be such a good choice. That would be sort of kicking King Stannis in the mouth, and I don't see how that serves us. Might be...
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
True.
Might be Snow would be better. He's been on the wall longer, he's been Stark's nephew, and he served the old bear as squire. Pick who you want, but don't pick me. And yeah, basically endorses Jon, like he does.
Yeah. Pick our slightly nepo baby here.
Yeah. And Janos is like turning purple from rage. And finally somebody calls for the kettle because that's what they vote in. And they bring out like Mace Raymond like motions to Clytus and Sam to bring out the kettle. They pull it over, and as they're pulling it over, the lid flies off and out comes this raven. And
oh my god.
Sam's like, oh, I know that bird. That's Lord Mormont's raven. And as he says it, the raven lands on John's like shoulder and starts cawing, snow, 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 snow.
Oh my god.
And I just love
he has the sword, now he has the raven.
Yeah.
Aww.
Lord Janos Lint sat down so heavily he made a thump because he's kind of like, oh shit, I've lost now.
Yeah.
But Alistair Thorne's like, how do we know that's Mormont's raven? It could be any old raven. Sam's teaching them all to say snow. Mormont's raven said a lot of things. And then this bird looks at him and is
then
like,
he does.
Oh, you mean like corn? Kettle?
Ooh.
It literally says, the raven cocked its head and looked at Jon. Corn, and said, hopefully.
Beautiful.
So
I love this.
Yes. So that's kind of proof that this is Mormont's raven, I guess.
Yeah.
But also so perfectly timed. Sam later says he didn't do it. I don't know why Clytus would do it. So who did it?
Maester Aemon?
I think that's a good theory. I think that's as good a theory as any.
Maester Aemon? Because he's like, oh, I can't do anything about it. But what if I were to... I think he was inspired by Sam's.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's like... And I think also he probably just like... Oh, wait, he doesn't know about Stannis' thing, though. But it would be so funny if he knew that Stannis offered Jon that position and he just wanted to stick it to Stannis. Wouldn't that be so funny? Because especially with Stannis being like, I know who you are,
but Maester Aemon's all about, like, you gotta make the choice, and I know it's a hard choice, but you gotta make it.
I know. But this is just evidence. Like, it's like, you could take it as evidence, or you, like, do you know what I mean? This is just almost like evidence for Jon. It's not like he's lying or changing the facts. It's like Mormont was always on Jon's side, and this eagle is just, not eagle, this raven is just a reminder of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
True that.
Also, is someone a warg inside this eagle? Or this raven? I feel like this raven has always been a warg.
This raven has said a lot of things. It said fire burn when the whites came.
This is not like a real person anymore. No way.
Person?
Watch it be like freaking Benjen. Just kidding. It's not going to be Benjen Stark.
It's not a real person. What do you mean real person?
Sorry. No, I don't know what I'm saying. I was just predicting that it was going to be Benjen Stark, but like as a joke, because that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that. I was like, oh, what if it's because I was just like,
worth the theory. There's definitely something going on with this raven.
But he's
not the Benjen Stark part, but
yeah. But I do think it's someone for sure. But I don't know.
Interesting raven. Well, point is, the raven has also given Jon his endorsement, and now everybody votes, and it's like a storm of arrowheads instead of a storm of swords, because arrowheads are his like sign or whatever. And he wins overwhelmingly, and people are like kneeling to him and like coming and congratulating him, and like the cook wants to know whether he's gonna eat in the hall or in his chambers.
Stop! Like, that's adorable. That's kind of adorable.
Yeah. And then Cotter Pike's like, if you fuck this up, I'm gonna rip out your liver and eat it raw with onions. And Dennis Malster's like, you made me do a hard thing. I thought it was finally my turn, but now I'm never gonna get my turn, so you better not fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the raven starts crying, supper, so that everybody, because it's time to eat. They finally have somebody decided, and they're let out of there. And Jon and Sam and Pip and Gren kind of like walk off kind of into the night, and they're like, hey, Sam did it. And about in terms of the raven, and Sam's like, yeah, no, I did not do that.
What would have happened without the raven? What do we think?
I still think it would have gotten to Jon.
I also think it would have gone to Jon, because I think also like when Janos Slynt was first like, we can't have Jon, what do you mean? Like, even, because Cotter Pike and Mallister both kind of said things, not in defense of Jon, but basically, like, anyone can be put forth, and, like, that sort of thing, and I feel like they didn't need to defend it.
Well, Sam had already talked to them about supporting Jon, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I feel like, because of that, and the fact that, like, everyone who's going to vote for them would see them being like, oh, no, he's a worthy enough opponent to, like...
I think this, like, really perfectly turned the tide and made the win overwhelming, as opposed to, like... just satisfactory, you know?
Yeah, and I think it also shut up Slynt and Alliser. Because I think if it hadn't been, like, an overwhelming win, they would have had... they would have had a lot to say about it. And they probably would have tried to be like, oh, we should recount. You only won by, like, 10 votes. Like, what do you mean? Or, like, it would have just been, like, they definitely would have caused more of a ruckus the entire time while it was happening, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Slay, slay.
So, yeah, they're like, hey, you're now the 998th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Have some wine. Yeah, he's now the Lord Commander, and he takes a sip of wine, but that's all he takes because he can't get drunk because he now has to go deal with Stannis.
Oh, God. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the chapter.
Okay, so Sam obviously did, like, the Dennis and Pike stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did Sam also get Dolorous Ed to, like, put in the name?
Yeah, he was like, maybe you should put in John's name. And Dolorous Ed was also looking for a reason to not be elected Lord Commander.
But did he really think, like, was he that worried?
I'm wondering why didn't just Sam go ahead and do it himself? But maybe it would be, like, way too obvious and, like, Maester interference-y.
Exactly. I think especially because then Cotter, Pike, and everything would, like, then they'd be like, why are you doing it, you know?
Cotter, Pike, or Slint?
Well, I think Pike and Malister would probably also be like, I feel like it would just alert more attention to him. Because with him talking to them, he was able to be like, oh, it's Maester Aemon. But here it would kind of be like, why is Mr. Aemon interfering in the vote that he's supposed to count? Like, it would be a bigger deal to them, I think. Yeah, even the people that we like.
I think it was just to put a degree of separation between, like, another degree of separation between Maester Aemon and his involvement with this.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely didn't discourage Sam from going out and interfering, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Jon is Lord Commander. He's got to deal with Stannis. He's got to...
Slave.
Stannis is not going to be happy about this. There's your prediction for that. But do you think he'll accept it?
I think he has to. Because not private entity, independent entity. B, he told them to choose a commander before the end of the night, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
C, everyone's already on Jon's side. Who he would have to, like, freaking get Slint or something. Like, okay, enough people are on Jon's side that it's one of those things where it's like, it's like he'd really have to, like he knows very well that it's probably going to end up being Slint otherwise too. And I feel like it's just like, it would be such a fuss.
Yeah.
And, like, it would take even longer, and he's already so impatient.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just kind of a little bit illogical with what he's aligned himself with at this point.
Fair enough. Okay, next.
Because he specifically said, I don't care who you choose as long as you choose, and now he has to eat his own words.
It's true. So now Jon's the Lord Commander, and will he agree to Stannis' plan of letting the free folk through, settling the gift, and give the castles to Stannis to men?
I think he might be like, yes, but we want more involvement in that plan. Like, it might be like, the castles are still under our control, but we will contribute to what you want to do with them. Like, it'll be more of a partnership than a giving it to him.
Okay.
Or something like that. Like, it might be like, okay, yeah, you want to do it for the greater good, then why don't you just help us help you do the greater good?
Sure.
Like, rather than taking over our operation, give us the resources for our operation. Because at the end of the day, it is our operation. Like, this is a group project, buddy. And you're trying to do all the work here.
Right.
So I feel like there might be a bit of that. I think there's definitely going to be tension with... Because he's already expressed, like, the free folk aren't gonna just, you know, do what you want them to do. So I really hope that with that knowledge, like, Jon's able to find a better way to go about, like, the cultural integration of, like, everybody around. And, like, he's able to, like, be better about that than how Stannis was planning to just do it.
Like, more diplomatically, because Stannis is not a diplomat.
Yeah, Stannis is just like, let's just get this done. I don't care how you feel about this. But Jon, you know, having lived in both worlds, at least for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully he can now see everybody as the one people, as opposed to, like, us versus them kind of thing that he had going on for a while there.
Yeah, because the weapons are down, bro.
Mm-hmm. And
literally, like, yeah, because even his experiences there helped contribute to this final decision too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's only logical.
True that.
But I also worry, like, yes, slay, Jon, icon, love. However, now he's the one in power, so when he messes up, it's like, do I have to hate, you know, I don't want to hate him.
Do you think he's going to mess up?
When he messes up, I'm worried. Well, no one's perfect.
Right. And he is 16.
Yeah. Even Rob did stuff where we were like, that's a little, you know? And obviously, to a certain extent, like, you can't micromanage, right?
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta work with what you have, and, like, some things are gonna be done badly, or, like, you know, like, to some degree, like, in this world, like, people are mistreated, like, people die, things happen.
He's bound to make some mistakes.
Yeah, but I just hope it's not, like, overwhelming, like, you know, I hope this isn't his villain arc.
Okay, so do you
I don't think it will be. I'm just being paranoid.
Overall, he will be successful as Lord Commander?
I don't know if he'll be successful. I think time will tell, but I think, like, I don't know if he'll be able to, I think he'll be successful, yes, but I'm just worried about, you know, his age, his birth, certain things, you know?
Okay, so, like, how people perceive him.
Yeah, and then, like, I'm just worried, like, for example, like we said, he can be more diplomatic about it. But in cases where he's like, hey, we should be more considerate of the free folk and that sort of thing, they might just take it as him being a turncloak. Or they might be, like, I just worry that there's, or him being young, or him having liked Ygritte and broken his vows. Like, I just worry that there's these aspects, or him being a bastard. Like, I just worry that there's these aspects of him where people who don't like him, like Alistair and Slint and all of them, and I'm sure there's going to be other people, you know, because with power comes friction.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry that, like, those things, like, you know, I'm just worried about the overall,
Fair enough.
because it's not going to be smooth, and I think I'm just worried about that, and I'm worried about it just ending up poorly, not even because of Jon, but just because of the circumstances. So I think there's just, you know, more power, more worries. Like, Robb probably wouldn't have been killed at this point if he was just Lord of Winterfell, right? So,
right.
So, it's just one of those things.
Cool.
But also, sorry, this doesn't matter as much as what I just said, but did he even vote?
No, I don't think
Okay,
so.
he didn't. Okay, cool. I mean, I guess he also, like, didn't need to, but it was just kind of funny. I, like, sat back and I was like, wait, did he even, like, what? But also, I just kind of wanted a bit more, like I said, I wanted this to have a bit more oomph. Like, I wanted him to, like, I wanted some sort of self-love. Like, oh, like, I just wanted something of, like, these people want me, and I'm gonna do my best not to let them down. Like, I love the sappy stuff.
I think this chapter was more about his decision to stick with the Night's Watch than it was about him being elected. Maybe we'll get that later, like, you know?
Yeah, true. I just, you know, I want little crumbs of Jon not hating himself.
Fair enough. That is...
Is that too...
It may be a little too much to ask, but, you know.
Yeah. Also, I have some crackpot theories.
Okay, lay them on me.
Okay, so... Stannis and Melisandre, obviously super mad. But maybe they accept it. Whatever, you know? I don't know how that's... Well, they have to accept it. That's basically my theory. So they're trying to find someone else, right? Who can they go to? Arya is trying to get to the wall.
Right,
and
she was.
Arya is a Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to Jon because he's technically a Stark.
That Arya was going to go to the
I
Iron
know
Islands.
that. I know that. But can I just, like, change that a little bit? No, because maybe, okay, fine, she goes to the Iron Islands, all that. But she's still always going to want to end up with Jon because he's, like, her only family member alive. So, well, I guess she would have to do it quickly. Whatever. The logistics don't make sense. That's why it's a crackpot theory and not a logical theory. But just go with it, okay? You can debunk it after. Let me just go with it. Okay. So Arya shows up. And I know that, like, Arya's already someone else, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we already know that Stannis is, like, somewhat trusts that, like, Jon probably won't lie to him. Like, I feel like there's some sort of trust there of, like, you are your father's son, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if he was like, no, this is definitely Arya, like, blah, 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 I think that he would understand that, like, you know, there's something going on with Tywin. Like, there's some sort of something going on that's not right, you know? I think Stannis is perceptive enough to maybe get that. Or someone around him is perceptive enough to tell him, you know? So with all of that, maybe it's like, okay, well, I can make the real Arya my Winterfell person. And, like, he could just, like... And even if it's like, oh, it can't be Arya, he could, like, force her to marry someone and then just, like, make someone that he trusts the person... And now he also has a legitimate claim. But if that doesn't work, my other theory is that he could get a Karstark because they're north,
right? But
they're not aligned with Tywin and them, so he doesn't have to worry about their loyalty because they're still, like, north, you know? Like, and they hate the Lannisters. That was the whole conflict. They hated the Lannisters, but they're also not, like, on, like, like, they're also not, like, super aligned with the Starks, technically, so they'd almost, like, want to go against and potentially take over. Like, do you know what I mean?
Also, like, way back in the past, some Stark heritage, so, like, a potential claim of some
exactly.
kind. I see what you mean. Unless the Karstarks are aligned with Roose Bolton, that is.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is an issue, but I guess Bolton did betray Robb, but I just was hoping that wasn't an issue.
Also Robb
because both of my theories have
the main
holes.
Karstark guy.
Yeah, but there's other people who could try to take over and be like, "It's me."
Okay.
Mario.
Yeah. Just like that, they also have like they had reason to want Robb betrayed. You know.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it's good because Stannis needs someone who isn't like, oh, Robb could have done this better. Like, you know, it's almost like helpful to him to also have that bitterness towards Robb, but also know that this person is also definitely not on Tywin's side, you know? So, yeah. So it's almost like it's like this third party influence.
Right.
Because that's the whole issue with Jon, right? Because Jon is like, I don't want to do all this. Yeah. But then I guess with the Karstarks, there's also the issue, like, they also believe in the old gods and all those different traditions, but maybe it's different because they're willing to forsake it, because we have talked about how Ned's values may be more Jon Arryn's values and his own, rather than specifically North. So maybe because of that, the Karstarks would be more willing to, like, see beyond that.
Right, but the old gods are definitely North. That's not really an Eyrie thing.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Okay, good thoughts. Anything else to add to that?
I think those were all my thoughts up until this point. I basically was just like, Catelyn is turning over in her grave right now. I wrote that down. And that was basically it. That was my last thought.
Yeah, okay. I'm just looking through. I don't think there's anything else I have to predict on. So shall we move on to Sansa's chapter? All right. So Sansa is awoken from a dream. And usually she gets nightmares, because you would too, if you were her, right? But this dream was a nice dream. It was a dream of living in Winterfell and hanging out and just, you know, doing that whole thing. And
the Arya is mentioned multiple times, and it heals my soul.
Right,
like,
you were like, they never think about each other, but they are thinking about each other.
This is so sweet.
Or at least
I was like,
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
She remembers sleeping in the same like room with her and like having snowball fights with her and all those things. Yeah, but she does not feel like this Eyrie is her home. It's really cold and there's very few people here, and it's like older servants talk about how the halls rang with laughter when her father and Robert Baratheon had been Jon's wards, but that's no longer the case. The only people she has to hang out with are her maid, who's old, and Robert, who sucks. So, oh, and also Marillion, who sucks extra because he is a gross rapist dude. And Liza loves him, and it had in fact banished a couple of girls in a page for telling lies about him, which, you know, if we think about it, they were telling the truth, but she just took his side in all of it, and I think that sucks.
Pick me.
Yeah. And Baelish is gone, like meeting with the Corbrays or something, because people are mad that he married Lysa.
Logic, yeah.
Yeah. And they don't, they begrudge his authority as Lord Protector of the Vale, and people are like, about to revolt because Lysa didn't like join the war and support Robb, and there's a lot of tension going on in the Vale. And while it may have not like gone to war, the area is still not quite the idyllic place that it's supposedly is. And so she opens up her window and it's snowing. The Eyrie is it's blanketed by the snow, and she remembers the last time she had seen snow, which was the last day in Winterfell, and saying goodbye to her siblings and like riding out and being so happy, thinking that her, you know, off to see the great wide world, and her song was just beginning, but it was almost done. No, Sansa, it's not done. I promise it's not done.
I'm so sad.
I just want her,
you still got
like,
a few
somebody,
more books.
yeah, I just want to comfort her, you know? Like, you're just a kid. You
know.
got, as long as you live, you got a life ahead of you.
Yeah, it was so sad.
Yeah. So she gets dressed and goes out to the garden, and she's like hanging out in the snow, and then she's like, oh my god, let me make some snowballs like I used to with Arya. And she remembers like Arya and Bran like having a snowball fight with her and all of that stuff, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
But then she realized she doesn't have anybody to throw snowballs at, so then she stops making snowballs. And she's like, that's sad. I don't even know what to do. Maybe I'll build a snow knight, which I thought was funny, like their version of a snowman.
Yeah.
And then she's like, maybe I'll build a castle. And she starts like packing snow and poking holes and doing all these things. And it says the snow fell and the castle rose, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, she's just building a castle, but eventually it very clearly takes the shape of Winterfell. And she's like really going into all the details of the walls and all the keeps.
I want to see this because I'm like, how good is this? That like everybody's like everybody who's looking on is like impressed.
There's
I'm
plenty
like,
of art of this, so I'll find something for you.
slay. I'm like, how artsy is this girly pop? Like, go off.
Yeah, and she's building like the bridges which keep collapsing, but like she's trying, and then she's also building the greenhouses. And eventually she gets frustrated with all the bridges that keep falling, and then she hears this voice say, pack the snow around a stick, Sansa. And it's Peter Baelish, who has returned from the Vale. And he's like, do it this way, and then blah, blah, blah. May I come into your castle, my lady? Which is gross, because it's like this game that kids play.
Yeah.
Ah.
Icky.
Yes. And he shows her how to like build these bridges, which actually stay. And then she's working on the glass gardens and she doesn't know how to do the roof. So he's like, well, let's tie all these twigs together and make like a frame for them. And it says Littlefinger stroked his chin where his beard had been before Lysa had asked him to shave it off, which is interesting. I don't know. It was just like an interesting detail to me.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me when people start altering their partner's appearances, you know? Why? I
think she's trying to go back to the good old days.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Is she just trying to make him like look more like a kid or younger or whatever? Anyway, so he helps her with that. And yeah, and then he starts flirting with her. And she's grossed out by it. And then she like, oh no, before that. Yeah, he's flirting like throughout. But at one point, Sansa, like, they're making the broken tower. So like she breaks the top and then throws the snow at Peter Baelish. And he's like, that was unchivalrously done, my lady. And she's like, as was bringing me here when you swore to take me home. She's finally said it. I'm so glad for it, but also, yeah.
But also you talking back and then immediate loss. Like, we had a victory and then immediate loss.
Yeah. But in this moment, she's like, how did I get that courage? And then she realizes that she's drawing it from Winterfell. I am stronger within the walls of Winterfell.
Yeah. She let out her artsy side. She accessed her emotions and she was like, fuck Peter.
Yeah. And then, you know, Littlefinger's like, well, yeah, I did lie to you about that. And this one other thing. And this other thing is that I'm going to kiss you now. And it's going to be gross. And she has to like, she like pulls away and is like, what the fuck are you doing? Lysa's going to see. Because it's just, no. It's gross. And she's like, you shouldn't have kissed me. I could have been your daughter. And he's like, you could have been, but you're not. And I think you're even more beautiful than your mother was when she was your age, which is just like, ugh.
Can we talk about how, I know that this is the point, but can we talk about how Peter's the real villain?
Oh, yeah.
Like, of everything. Like, of like everyone, it's like, it was just like, I know that Peter's a villain. We know that. He does the most heinous things. And he does it in, like, he's terrible, and he doesn't even do them for the right reasons. At least if we're gonna do the wrong things, do them for the right reasons, at the very least. He doesn't do the right things, and he does them all for the wrong reasons, and he's terrible, and he treats people terribly, and he sucks. But
the end.
But he's yeah, I don't know where I'm going. I'm just tired of his bullshit. And to find out that even more of it is his is so exhausting. Anyway, I'm just tired of him.
I'm also getting sleepy.
And I hate him so much. Anyway.
Yeah. But as they're arguing about this, Robert comes along and is like, oh, it's a castle. And, Sansa's like, well, it's supposed to be Winterfell. It's the great castle of the north. And he's like, it's not so great. And he takes his doll. Sorry, go ahead.
Do we think, because Lysa's like, oh, I saw you. Mm-hmm. Do we think Lysa sent Robert
to interrupt them?
Yeah, or almost like a what's gonna happen if I send Robert?
I don't think that.
Okay, like he just like showed up.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. I think I'm getting too like diabolical with this like, oh, there's a motive behind everything.
Yeah, if anything, she would want her kid away from these people, that she's mad at. I don't know. I personally don't think it, but there could be something to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So he takes this doll he has and starts breaking the castle. He's like, I'm a giant. I'm breaking this castle. Blah, blah, blah. And he knocks like the top of one of the gatehouse towers and then the other one. And Sansa's like, that's enough. Stop it. And she pulls his doll and pulls it so hard that the head comes off. And of course this guy's like, you killed him! And starts crying and shaking because he's prone to seizures, apparently, right? Like, I don't think we've ever seen one of them before, but we've kind of heard about it. And, like, people come rushing because, like, this is so common that, like, they're trained to come hold him down while the maester does what he needs to do, which is just basically drug him until he stops shaking. And, and then he's like, let's get him to my chamber so we can leech him. We gotta thin out his blood and whatnot, so all that stuff. And Sansa's like, oh my god.
See, with this, like, I don't know if this is just me, once again, overthinking and reading way too much into everything, but, like, okay, obviously, like, we know, like, he's always been, like, genetics. There's always been some sort of, like, illness. Like, there's something always going on with him, right? But I also wonder, like, the way that Lysa treats him and almost, like, babies him about everything, like, how much worse does that make it when, like, wow, if he's in a panicked state, he's gonna have a seizure. Oh, wow, why don't we make it so that he gets upset about everything? Because we don't give him a healthy amount of child development.
Yeah, we never say no to him so that when he does ever hear no, it's, like, immediate seizure.
Exactly. So it's, like, how much of this is just her parenting?
Yeah, plenty of it, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think his illness kind of being genetic, I think there's people who talked about it, the fact that Lysa was given moon tea for her first pregnancy then potentially impacted all of her future pregnancies. And
also he was old.
Yes, that too. Geriatric sperm. The sperm was not strong. The seed was not strong, sorry. So all these factors, and yes, I do think they're not, because, like, they're keeping this kid in basically, like, a glass cage. Like, he's getting no exposure to anything that's going to help him develop or, like, build immunity to anything because he's never exposed to anything. So it's just, bad. And, so Sansa's like, oh my god, I did this. I ripped his doll. I didn't mean to. And Peter's like, well, he was destroying the castle. And the kid's like, well, it was a giant and she killed him. Okay, speaking of which, we need to talk about a prophecy here. Let me pull it up. Back to one of the Ghost of High Heart's prophecies.
Oh my god.
So this is I dreamt of a maid at a feast with purple serpents in her hair, venom dripping from her fangs. So that's Sansa at Joffrey's wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And later, I dreamt that maid again, slaying a savage giant in a castle built of snow. So this could be the giant in a castle built of snow. I personally think there's gotta be more to it. Like she's gonna take down like Roose Bolton in Winterfell or something. Like, you know, like something along those lines.
Yeah, this kind of feels like a little bit of a letdown for slaying a giant in a castle of snow.
But it's a thing, so I thought I would point it out because I'm like, I guess, like, if this is it, then fine.
Technically. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But was it were they Oh, I guess because he was inside breaking everything. But if he was technically outside of the castle, does that count?
No. I don't know. I don't think that we need to get that specific about it. Basically, she ripped the head of the doll. And then she's so angry at this kid that she takes the head and puts a pike through it and then puts it up on the wall of the castle.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah.
Inner rage came out. And
Littlefinger's like, well, I guess that's not the first giant to end up with his head on Winterfell's walls. And she's like, shut the fuck up. And then she leaves. But I thought I would point that out. To me, it feels like a cop-out on the prophecy, but maybe George R. R. Martin was like, actually, I don't mean that anymore. So I'm going to just use like something basic to cover my ass, you know?
Yeah.
So at least the prophecy has something, even if it's something silly.
Yeah.
So she goes back to her room and she's warming up and she's thinking about, oh, maybe I should ask to be banished. Like I should ask Lady Lysa to send me away because I don't want to be here. And I don't like her kid. I don't like her. All of those things. Mm-hmm. And I could go live at the Gates of the Moon. And it's a nicer castle. And Lord Nestor Royce seems gruff and stern, but his daughter Miranda is cool. And she's friends with Robert's base-born daughter, aka Maya Stone. So she would be cool with me being a bastard and all, right? So she's having this dream and she's like, I hate that kid. Also, Robert, like I feel sorry for him sometimes. But I don't want to be his wife. I would sooner be married to Tyrion again.
Oh my god.
Which, I mean, yeah, Tyrion's was a better person. Yeah, so she's just contemplating all this. Once again, today's vocabulary word of the day is contemplation. So later on in the day, Marillion comes to get her because Lysa has summoned her to the High Hall, which
oh god,
Sansa hasn't even been in the entire time. Like they just keep that closed because who's gonna go in the High Hall? It's cold and drafty and got a moon gate, you know?
As soon as she said this, I was like, moon door, moon door, because we did not have good memories here.
Yeah. So on their walk is kind of when we get more info about Marillion. Everybody hates him. But Lysa loves him. He sings Robert to sleep every night and also makes fun of all of Lysa's, like, suitors. So she likes that. And,
you know, Lysa was supposed to be girly pop because, you know, she's in charge of the Eyrie. She's refusing to get married. But she's, like, the most freaking, like, she's the worst.
She is.
She's not strong, independent girl pop. She is pick-me behavior. She is misogynistic. She is mean. She's like everything. That is not girly pop. And she was supposed to be girly pop. And I knew that, but it's so highlighted in this chapter, and it makes me so mad.
Yeah. So anyway, Lysa's been showering Marillion with costly gifts. And it all served to make Marillion unfailingly courteous to in Lysa's presence and unfailingly arrogant outside it.
Wow.
So that's his whole deal. And, you know, they're walking and she wants to be like, I'm a fucking Stark. You can't mess with me. But she can't say that. So she just walks to the high hall, and there's 2 guards outside it, and Merillion tells them to not let anybody in as long as Elaine is with Lady Lysa. And then when they pass through, he also goes ahead and locks the door from the inside so that even the guards can't get inside.
Oh my god.
And Sansa's like, oh, it's not good. Why'd you do that? But all she can do is walk up to Lysa, who is sitting sullen in one of the high chairs. And there's a long descriptions of the hall. Cold, drafty. That's all it needs to say, really.
We've been here before, people.
Exactly. And Merillion kind of stays at the end by the door playing music. And eventually he plays music loudly to cover up the sounds of horrible things happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Lysa's like... No, Lysa doesn't even say anything. Sansa's like, you sent for me? Lysa's like, yeah, I saw what you did. And Sansa's like, oh yeah, I hope Robert's okay. I didn't mean to do it. And then Lysa's like, no, that's not what I mean, you coy deceiver. You kissed him. And Sansa, of course, says, he kissed me. And Lysa wouldn't believe her. This is the Delulu in her coming out. Why would he do that? He has a wife who loves him, a woman grown, not a little girl. He has no need for the likes of you. Confess, child. You threw yourself at him. That was the way of it. And Sansa's just trying to be like, no, that's not how it happened. I didn't do it.
No, but and then she's like, don't think I haven't seen the looks you give Merillion.
Yeah. But before
okay, yeah, continue. Sorry.
I just
was like,
I know.
Get out.
I know. Before she gets that, she's like, I'm not even going to punish you. I'll just find some common girl and whip her in your stead. You just have to confess to what you did. And Sansa's trying to be like, I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He was helping me and then he kissed me. That's what you saw. She's like, oh yeah, you have no honor. You take me for a fool. I see how you look at Merillion. This is when she goes into that whole thing. And yes, it's ridiculous. It's because she just, like, anybody should be able to see how Merillion looks at her, but she's like, no, well, that does not suit this narrative I have in my head.
Exactly. You are Catelyn, and Catelyn did it to everyone else around her. Totally wasn't other people. Yeah. I'm not projecting at all. It's, man, maybe they should have... I know this wouldn't have solved anything, but I'm just trying to make light. But I was like, did they do anything? Did they change her hair or do anything? And they did not. And I'm like, maybe at least if they changed how she looked, maybe Lysa would have projected a little bit less. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't change her appearance at all.
I think they did. I think...
Did they?
Sansa dyed her hair.
No, but at one point she says, like, auburn hair.
Yeah,
something.
But she has auburn hair.
So yeah, so it's not dyed.
She didn't even dye her hair?
That's what I mean. That's why I was shocked. I was like, because I remember at one point, like, when she grabs her head, that was my confirmation where I was like, damn, they didn't even change her appearance. Like, there's something about... Let me find it. Yeah. Oh, never mind. It says Sansa flailed found Lysa's thick auburn braid and clutched it tight.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I read that as Sansa's, not Lysa's. Okay, so that's where I was getting it from. Oops. My bad. Because the entire time I was like, did they change her appearance? And then I saw the auburn braid and I was like, oh, clearly not. But never mind, that was for Lysa.
Yeah, it says, so back when she, in the chapter where Peter and Lysa get married, and then in the morning they, like, have Sansa come up so that they can, like, plan and plot together, right? Lysa's like, you look so much like Catelyn, and Sansa's like, oh, it's so kind of you to say, and Lysa's like, no, it's not meant at flattery. You look too much like Catelyn. Something has to be done. We shall darken your hair before we bring you back to the Eyrie.
Oh,
so I feel like they have dyed her hair.
Okay, I just figured at some point well, I guess it's not like she has mirrors around, but her hair's long. She can barely see it. I don't know, I was just kind of like, oh, it's not mentioned at all. But okay, maybe later in a chapter she'll be like, it's weird that my hair's black now. I don't feel like myself.
Yeah, she doesn't mention it, but I feel like it is a thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it, like, specifically, she said, we'll have to darken it before you go to the Eyrie. So now they're in the Eyrie, they should have darkened it, you know?
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, like, you know, Lysa knows who she is, and she's gonna see what she's gonna see, as we have figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is when she starts spilling the beans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all those years in Riverrun, Catelyn played with Peter, teasing him, but never giving him what he wanted. And that time that Lord Bracken and Lord Blackwood came to visit us and we all got drunk and he had to be carried to his room by our uncle. Do you remember none of it? Do you? Because she's like, clearly, this is Catelyn now in front of me.
Yeah.
And Sansa's just like, I was not born, my lady. So Lysa says, you weren't born. I was. So don't presume to tell me what's true. I know what's true. And you kissed him. And then she goes back to the, like, you enticed him just like your mother did that night in Riverrun. And then he when he was drunk, I went to him in his bed to give him comfort. And it's clear that they had sex. He told me he loved me then, but he called me cat.
Oh my god.
And even so, I stayed with him till the sky began to lighten.
Oh my god.
Peter Baelish claiming that he took, quote unquote, both of the Tully girls' virginity. He believes that shit's true.
That's insane.
Because he thought that was Catelyn.
Yeah, because he was drunk.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but has he still not realized it, though?
I don't know. I think it's like, I feel like he's not stupid, but he probably doesn't want to believe that he didn't take Catelyn's, you know?
Right. He's also seeing what he wants to see, believing what he wants to believe.
Yeah, but, like, also, like, I'd assume, like, he knows about, like, the Tansy and all of that. So I feel like logically he has to know that it was actually her who he slept with. Mm-hmm. But I think he chooses to ignore it.
And then just claim that he slept with both of them.
Yeah, because I think he did it, obviously, as like this is like the closest to Catelyn type thing. And she wants me anyway.
I don't know if... That's a good question. Like, did the pregnancy result from this one incident?
Or did they
have sex again at some point?
But I don't know if Peter, like, obviously Peter sucks, but, like, I don't know, like,
okay, you know, it probably makes sense that it was this night.
Yeah, because he didn't really like her anyway, and I get that he might have just, like, been using her for her body type thing, but that's not, like, disgust. Like, he brags about taking both of their virginities, but he doesn't, like, he's not like, oh, and I, like, fucked your sister every night, like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, in all likelihood, he actually knows, but he decides to just spin he's like, exactly. I believed at that time that it was this thing, so I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah. And also, I think it's a big thing on his ego. Like, if he's like, oh yeah, I'm still obsessed with this girl who I didn't even, you know? I think it's like, it gives him power to be able to say that, so either way. Yeah. But also, like, just all of these little, like, I am so disgusted with Lysa. We already hated her. We already knew she was the worst. But just, like, the quantity of disgust and filth that is coming out of her mouth.
Like what?
Just everything. Like, just all the, like, ickiness of, like, oh, like, she danced with him 6 times. She did all of this. And then because of that, he tried to kiss her. And then she was like,
oh, yes.
The whole, like, she asked for it. All of that. And you enticed it. Like, oh my god. Yeah. It's like, in every situation, he's the victim. And obviously, parts of this is like, because earlier she says, like, oh, like, all those years she played with Peter as if he were her little toy. I'm sure part of that is also, like, Peter. But part of that is also just her own experience. And either way, it's just so icky. And they're both so icky. Mm-hmm. And Peter should just like her, because they both suck and they're perfect for each other anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that she's, like, traumatized, but you cannot... No! That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Like, she's the worst.
She is the worst. Okay, we'll circle back to that. Let's continue with this. So she comes upon Sansa. If you were anyone else, I would banish you, but I'm not gonna. Oh.
Okay, also, sorry, just one more thought. Like, at the beginning of the chapter, like, obviously it was sad, and she's like, oh, whatever, like, why am I here? But I feel like up until Peter came, there was some amount of, like, this is cathartic, you know? This is, like, slay. This is okay. And it was, like, it was, like, finally, it was, like, yes, we hate Robert, and yes, I don't have anyone to play with, but also, it's a different environment than she was in before. It's almost like a fresh beginning. You know, like the fresh snow. It's like a fresh little, like,
right.
As much as these people suck, like, maybe there's potential. And it was, like, kind of hopeful. And I wanted to believe it. But now we just get back to, like, Lysa Arryn was frightening her as much as Queen Cersei ever had. And it's like, we're back where we started, and none of these characters can be happy. And it makes me mad, and I hate it.
Yeah. Lysa's like, I would banish you if you were anybody else, and to think that Sansa came in here hoping for banishment, and then she's like, nope, you won't get banished. And she's like, I should banish you. How would you like to spend your life on the bleak shore of the Fingers? That's what my dad had planned for Peter. But no, Oh, and then this is like, you know, my father told me that I ought to thank the gods that a lord as great as Jon Arryn was willing to take me soiled. But I knew it was only for the swords that my father promised. And also that if I didn't marry Jon, my father would have kicked me out. But it was Peter who I was supposed to marry all these years. And we made a baby together. And this is the whole Tansy thing. Mm-hmm. Her father made her drink the moon tea, and she miscarried, had a miscarriage, abortion situation. And it was horrible. And then they try to steal my baby again when Jon wanted to send Robert to Dragonstone.
Mm-hmm.
So she killed Jon Arryn in part because Peter asked her, but also so that her kid wouldn't be sent to Dragonstone. But then
so I was kind of right about that.
Yeah.
Slay. Because that was my thing. I was like, oh, yeah. So, okay, I'm a little evil genius because I predicted that it was Lysa. Slay.
Yeah.
And I also was like, it's
there.
because... Exactly. And then I'm like 75% there because I also predicted that it was because of the whole where he was going to be fostered and her being like...
Yeah, but the 50%
like, that
is that Peter Baelish asked her to do it.
No, that's the other 25.
Okay.
So I'm 75% there. Okay, give me this. Okay, This is a depressing chapter.
And so then Robert Baratheon wanted to send him to the Lannisters, so I didn't let them do that. And I'm
How
not
did
gonna.
you not let them, Queen?
Well, she left.
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay. I'm just
like
clarify.
making a joke. I'm making a joke.
I'm too tired for jokes.
I'm like, oh, what did you do, huh? Tell us more. Like,
yeah,
I'm hyping you up.
Yeah, and so Sansa's like, okay, no, I won't ever kiss him again or to entice him. And then now, like, she's saying this as like, oh, this is what she wants to hear. Yeah. But Lysa has turned a corner and is like, oh, so you admit you did it. Oh, and then she grabs Sansa's wrist and drags her to the moon door and gets Marillion to start playing real loud and makes Sansa open the door.
So he heard all of this, right?
Yeah.
He was just chilling there. Okay. Imagine how much this guy knows just because Lysa has no tact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even at the end of the chapter, he knows everything that Sansa does, too. No?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about that, too. Okay, you got to get through the plot before we start.
I know, but there's so much.
I know. Okay, so she makes Sansa open the door, and then immediately, like, air blowing. It's like the airplane door being opened, you know? And Lysa's like pushing her to the edge and making her look down, and Sansa's freaking the fuck out because why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. And it's horrible, and they're like arguing off there, and like the guards are clearly onto like something's wrong, but they can't get in, so they're banging on the door, and Marillion eventually stops playing, and that's when Littlefinger has come in, but he came in through the back door. That's why he was let in. And like it gives like Sansa a second to like get a little bit further from the door, like fall to her knees instead of like be towering over the fall. And, Littlefinger's like, what were you doing? What the fuck is going on? And Lysa says, I was just teaching her a lesson. And Peter, like, is trying to console her and sweet talk her, like, she understands. It's okay. We'll send her away. And Lysa turns, like, eventually, you can't want her. You can't. She's a stupid little girl. She doesn't love you. And it kind of seems like this is where she's kind of accepted that it was him, but she doesn't want to say it. And she starts once again, I gave you my maiden's gift. I would have given you a son, but they killed him. And then she starts like reciting the recipe of the moon tea, which is interesting. And then Littlefinger's like, you don't want to be talking so much, do you? We don't want Elaine to know more than she should, or Marillion. So even now he's admitting in front of Sansa that he doesn't want Sansa to know everything, which Sansa should have figured out by now, but like now it's like clear, you know? And then it was me who got you your first post. I made John bring you to court so we could be close to one another. And you told me to put the tears of Lys in John's wine, and I did that.
Holy.
And I wrote that letter to Catelyn telling her that the Lannisters killed John, just like you said.
Fucking go to hell, Peter. You caused everything.
Yes,
that
did.
Was literally the inciting incident.
Yeah.
Like, I want to punch him so bad. And
right?
I want to kill him. And he's terrible.
Right.
And
everything that's happened so far wouldn't have happened.
Was literally his fault.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Like, says all this.
And Lysa's like, why would you want to kiss her after all I did for you? We're together now after so long. Why would you want to kiss her? And Peter's like, I promise I will never leave your side again as long as we both shall live, which is going to be 2 more minutes.
LOL, yeah.
So he finally gets her to like let go of Sansa and come to him, and they hug, and Sansa like goes and crawls and immediately hugs like the nearest pillar, which I was like, why the nearest? Go farther, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, she is holding on for dear life. And Littlefinger's like consoling Lysa and is like, my sweet, silly, jealous wife, I've only loved one woman. I promise. And Lysa's like, only one? Do you swear it? Only one? Only Cat. He gave her a short, sharp shove.
My gosh.
And she stumbles backward and slips, and then she's gone out the moon door. She never even screamed. And then Marillion is like, oh my god, you. And this is when Littlefinger goes to Sansa and tells her to go run and get the guards. Quick now, there's no time to lose. The singers killed my lady wife.
Wow. What? Wow.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you let a terrible person who's also, like, sly and, like, cunning and is, like, evil, like, run loose.
Yeah.
What?
Also, Lysa's story in the end is really tragic, though.
Yeah.
Like, she's a total victim of other people making her life choices.
Yeah.
And causing her extreme unhappiness. Like, her dad won't let her be with the guy she loved, even if the guy didn't love her, you know, whatever. That's secondary. But then her dad forced her to have an abortion, which is all sorts of messed up. And that led to her having trouble with, like, having kids later, which led to all sorts of sadness. And her dad forcing her to marry this guy who was older than him, like older than her dad.
Yeah.
Like, imagine marrying a guy your grandfather's age. Like, it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
And just being forced to do it and never, like, getting a choice. So obviously she's going to cling to this one guy who appears to care for her and promise her everything. So she's going to, you know, have him promoted and whatever.
Yeah. And he definitely knows how to take the best advantage of all of that.
Yeah. And then here he is fucking things up when she's finally got what she wanted after all these years.
Yeah.
And it's just like she's watching her life crumble in front of her. So it's really tragic, really.
Yeah.
But she also sucks.
Yeah.
Like, she's taking out her tragedy on Sansa, which just no good.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically she was driven to madness by all these people around her, and that sucks.
Yeah.
I feel sad for her. I feel glad that she's gone, but I also feel sad for her.
I think I'm just too enraged to feel sad for her, but I totally understand it.
I think if you read it for like the third time, you'll also feel sad for her.
Yeah, I think this time though, I'm not there. But that's I get
fair.
it. But I'm like, yeah, like I don't think she's the villain, but I still hate her. Mm-hmm. But Peter's the villain.
Now, speaking of Peter being the villain, theory time. The theory is that he purposely kissed Sansa in front of Lysa Arryn to spur her to do something wild so that he could get rid of her.
That's an interesting theory, and I think...
Although, before he walked in, Sansa could have really been dead. Like, that could have gone many ways.
Yeah, I don't know what... I think he thought...
I think that's giving him too much credit.
Yeah, I don't know. But, Kate, two things. If it's true, I'm trying to imagine, like, how it could be true before dismissing it. But, like, if it's true, it's, like, I think he probably did it because he expected her to, like, talk to him first rather than go off at her first. I think he just genuinely thought that she would have, like, this moment at the end first.
Right.
Like, I don't think he realized how insecure... I don't think he... Regardless of whether he did this or he didn't, regardless of whether he's just... a creepy guy who was overcome by his creepiness, or whether he did that on purpose so that Lysa would see him, and all that. I think regardless of that, like, I don't know if he realizes what lengths Lysa would go to. Like, I don't know if he realizes that. I feel like this was also, like, that's why I don't know if I believe in the theory, because I feel like this was him realizing that he couldn't have it both ways.
Yeah.
And then he had to choose.
He realized.
Yeah, and in the end, he chose Catelyn, which is even more adds to the tragedy of Lysa. I feel like it was another... I can either have Catelyn or Lysa, and even just Catelyn's daughter beat the real Lysa for him. Every time I say Lysa, I feel like I'm saying Lysol, and it makes me feel so unserious.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
About that. Well,
really?
You can call her Lisa or...
Okay, thank you. Because I can't take it seriously. Okay.
It's how they say it in the show. That's why I say it that way.
Yeah.
I think in the audiobook they say Lisa.
Okay.
I say
Liza.
I say
Liza?
Yeah.
Liza. But anyway, Lady L. I feel like, yeah, which adds to the tragedy even more. Because I think it was just one of those, like, he just thought that she'd be like, oh, my sweet sister's daughter. Like, I don't think he realized the extent to which the jealousy and the extent to which the jealousy ran deep. I think he thought it was just like, oh, haha, wow, 2 girls fighting over me, even though the second girl was not fighting over you. But, you know, I think he was just like, wow, like, fun little jealousy. Like, I don't think he realized how intense it actually was. And I think there was probably other things to it, like with her being like, we have to get married right away, where he couldn't control, like, that demand of hers, and then her being like, shave off your beard, which I don't even know if he cared, but, like, I think there was probably little factors, too, that all culminated in this, of him being like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't think it was a pre-planned thing.
Yeah,
just because
I
of
think
that.
I agree with that. Okay, so... Oh my god, there's so much to talk about. So many revelations. basically, Tansy's true. It was Peter's kid. They had sex. And she poisoned John Aaron because he asked her to, and then all of that. And then he later goes to like lie about that knife thing, the dagger, which causes all of that. So she doesn't even know that he lied about the dagger, which she thought like she was like about, oh no, wait, hang on.
What?
She was going to kill Tyrion for killing John Aaron, even though she's the one who killed John Aaron.
Oh my god!
Right?
She was!
She's so self-righteous about it. Yeah.
So she just, like, didn't like Tyrion? That's crazy.
Sure is wild.
I didn't even think about that when I was predicting that she killed him. I didn't even think about, if she killed him, then that means that she was just being a pretentious little...
Yeah.
What? Wow, that's crazy. I have to write that down. That's a crazy thought. Wow. That's not real. That's like, I feel like that's also just like her Delulu. Because even with Sansa, she was like, oh, that wretched, like, Tyrion, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe she like said it so often that she started believing it.
Yeah.
And also, maybe, like, I don't know if it's said in here at all, but the fact that she stayed out of the war, maybe Littlefinger told her to stay out of it, you know? To cause more trouble.
Yeah, totally. Especially because technically her loyalties would have been the Starks and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then he wouldn't have been able to do the whole, like, he gets to become protector of the Vale, all that.
Yeah.
You know, that totally makes sense.
So with her gone, he's Lord Protector, like, as long as, like, they let that stand. And he's Lord Protector over the only kingdom of the Seven Kingdoms that wasn't part of the war. So he's, like, better positioned.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my god, yeah.
He's got more military just power, better, like, food storage and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. And if he wanted to, like, let's say Stannis started winning the war, he could be like, well, I own this thing that's neutral. If, like, if Dorne attacks and wins, he can be like, well, we're neutral.
Mm-hmm.
He can kind of come into it from any angle. And then he's already on the Lannister side if that pans out.
Yeah. So, do you think he will be allowed to remain Lord Protector?
See, that's what's tough. That's also why I feel like
Lysa drew her power from her son, and then he drew her power from Lysa.
So, I think because he's associated with the crown, yes, but I do think there's definitely going to be people challenging it, because he technically really has no claim. Exactly, and now they have a reason that they can challenge it. And, like...
Also, who's going to believe that Marillion killed Lysa? He knows all their secrets. What if he reveals all the secrets he just learned in exchange for his life? Peter's fucked, you know? Like, what's he thinking by blaming Marillion? How is he going
I think it's just him trying to cover up this thing he did in the moment, you know?
Right.
Like, obviously, that's another, it's like this, none of this could have been planned, because it's like Peter, like, just making not very smart decisions, which he doesn't usually do.
Yeah, and now Sansa has all this knowledge. And also, what's going to stop Littlefinger from, like, just turning on Sansa and being like, she also did it? Like, if he doesn't like what she's doing.
Exactly. So now she's even further. It's like she knows more, but she's even further in his clutches.
Yeah.
Because also, in a way, he can just be like, I saved your life, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're also the one who put her in danger, but I guess we're not talking about that.
Yeah, but also just like, I will tell everybody else, I will have Marillion tell them that you did it or something, you know?
No, there's so much he can do. It's like limitless.
Yeah. And then
tell everyone
Robert,
who she is.
Aaron, how is he going to cope with his mom being dead?
I don't think he's gonna, I don't know. I feel like Peter might just be like, hey, like, I don't know if he's gonna let Robert survive.
Oh, okay.
Because if Robert's dead, then is it kind of free game, or does it go to... Oh, well, I guess it goes to... Wait. It's John Aaron's I don't think we know of anyone else in John Aaron's family. I guess everyone else is probably dead.
I'm sure they could, like, scrounge up somebody somewhere.
Yeah. I guess, like, yeah, I don't know. There's, like, really nobody left. So I guess if Robert's also dead, but then that also causes more chaos, because then some lord's gonna be like, everyone be on my side. I've actually lived here. But I feel like as soon as they get... But I feel like if they get the message from the crown, and the crown's like...
Yeah,
hey,
but they don't
Peter.
like the Lannisters. Like, they're already mad that they didn't fight the Lannisters.
I know.
I think for the time being, Littlefinger is drawing his power from Robert, so it makes sense for him to keep Robert alive.
Yeah.
And then, like, he's a kid. Like, you can groom him to be anything.
Yeah, but I just don't know. I guess, like, even more than, like, the killing him, I just don't know if Robert's gonna survive.
Oh, right.
Because how's he gonna take his mother's death?
Yeah, fair enough.
And also, his mother is such a big part, even though she doesn't do a good job at it, she's such a big part of his upbringing. Like, I just don't know I just don't know if I see Robert surviving. But then that's good for us.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll finally be exposed to the outside world and, like, be forced to grow up a little, you know?
Is he in some way, like, he's really deep into it.
That's true.
So he could just crumble. You know?
So you said him dying is good for us?
It's good for us because then Peter doesn't have that claim, right? And we don't want Peter to have that claim.
Yeah, but then Sansa's just no one nowhere.
Yeah, but is being in Peter's clutches better than...
Is Sansa still engaged to Robert Arryn, given that it was like a secret thing that only Lysa knew about?
I don't think so.
So at least she doesn't have to marry him.
Yeah, and also, like, freaking... I guess Merlion wasn't in the room when that happened, yeah. And, like, Peter's not gonna want that. So, yeah.
So what is in Sansa's future? Just kind of being under Littlefinger's control?
I think so, for the time being.
Okay. Do we have anything else to predict on here?
Let me check my notes, because I had a lot for this chapter. The last 2 pages are so annotated. Crazy.
What's Sansa gonna do with all this info that she has now? Like, to some degree,
she's
Littlefinger caused her dad's death, you know?
Yeah. I think it's definitely like a wait for the right moment. She definitely can't do anything with it now, because now she's even further indebted to Littlefinger. And, like, he has even further control. But I think it's definitely like a watch and learn.
And people will believe that Merlion did it?
I don't know, though, because she gave him everything. So it doesn't really make sense. Like, why would he throw her off? So they might not, but he might just be like, well, you think I did it? I loved her.
Yeah.
Merlion could try and frame Sansa.
Sansa can potentially back up Littlefinger, and then it's 2 against 1, you know?
But she's his bastard daughter, quote unquote.
For sure. And he was her husband, so why would he kill his wife?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I really think it could go either way. Because they already don't like him.
What are the chances of it going
the thing is,
one
even
way?
if Merlion did it, well, the thing is, they don't like Merlion or Peter. Because they're both assholes. True. So nobody likes either. So I think knowing Peter, he'll probably find a way to bring it back in his court, you know? So, okay. Can we just have a little, I guess it's like a tribute to Lysa, but not a tribute to Lysa, but can we just have a collective, like, can we just recall what we know about Lysa?
Sure. So
not what we know, but, like, just basically, like, the times we've encountered her. Because obviously our first encounter was that letter we got from her, right?
Yes.
And it was, so I'm going to tell you what I know and then you fill in the blanks.
Okay.
So, because I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything with all of her little, because she comes in like twice a book, but she always comes in when it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we started off and Catelyn gets the letter. Obviously it's in their secret little codes. She has to, like, reveal it, whatever. And then the letter is basically like, Lannister did this, my husband's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it's basically like, Lannister did this. Because they already, Lannister killed my husband. And then Catelyn's like, I have to go see her because she wouldn't have risked sending this.
No, Catelyn's like, Ned. No. Ned's like, oh no, that means there's more going on. People are in danger, so I should accept the hand of the kingship and go to King's Landing.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion they draw from the letter being sent.
Oh, Catelyn went because of Bran.
Yes, yeah.
Right, yes.
Ned was
okay.
going to go and investigate this happening because they're like,
yes. Okay,
if Robert's surrounded by killers like Lannisters, that's big trouble.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then the next time we, like, importantly heard about her, well, her next important, well, we had all the, like, he was going to be fostered here, all of that, right? But then the next time we, like, really saw her was when Catelyn and Tyrion get there, right?
Yes.
And that was when we learned about, like, how much she spoils her son and, like, keeps him in a little box and all of that. And she's not doing well mentally. And, okay, so, and Catelyn was basically like, why did you send me that letter? And she was like, I sent it, but now I'm scared of it. Like, how did that go again?
Yeah, it was like, you sent me that letter and now I brought you a Lannister. Help me out here. And she's like, I sent you to warn you, not to bring Lannisters to my gate.
Oh.
And now I'm going to try him and trying to kill him.
Okay.
And Catelyn was like, you can't kill him. He's my captive. And Lysa was like, too bad you brought him here. And to think that Catelyn could have gone to Riverrun instead at that moment.
Yeah, and she was like, let me see my dear sister.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, we won't, because they're both now dead. But I almost want to know more about their dynamic, because all of this is just like all the jealousy and all the spite and everything. I'm like, was this always there? Like, when you have that pretty friend.
I think it's developed over the age, like bitterness.
Yeah.
Just like Catelyn's in the north, like thriving. She's got all these kids and she's happy and she's got a husband who actually loves her and all of those things. And Lysa has none of those. And so it's like over the 15 or so years that they haven't seen each other, it's kind of grown to be bitter.
Right. Yeah. Because I just wonder how much of that was already there and how much of that is now.
We all have our little like spats with siblings. Like we all have beef with our siblings too. But like it's like you always sit on that side of the couch. I like that side of the couch, or you always get control of the remote. Like it's that kind of thing. But then if you let it fester for 15 years and add in a bunch of horrible trauma, it turns into this.
Yeah. True, yeah.
Because when she greets Kat, she's like, oh my god, Kat, you're here. I'm so happy to see you. But also, fuck you for bringing a Lannister here.
Yeah. It's like she almost also doesn't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anything else?
Okay, so we saw her there, and she basically was just like, don't bring the Lannisters. And Catelyn was like, so I just wasted my time coming all the way here. And she was like, okay, well, can you at least help us out here? And she was like, no, I'm not helping you out.
And then the Blackfish, who was in her service, was like, well, I'm going to go then.
Yeah. Okay, so my question there is, the biggest thing that I just want a little recollection of is, when we, like, saw Littlefinger and, like, he interacted with Catelyn and Ned and, like, all of that happened? Yeah. Like, much later?
No, that was earlier.
Earlier? Okay. So how...
So Bran gets attacked. Catelyn goes to King's Landing. In King's Landing, as soon as she lands, people are like, oh, come with us. Like, she's trying to be covert, but everybody knows who the fuck she is. And then she gets taken to Littlefinger and Varys, where they discuss the dagger, and Littlefinger's like, that's Tyrion's. And then he hides her away in a brothel and takes Ned to meet her. And Ned's like, go start preparing for war, because shit's bad.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's when she's going, and then she meets Tyrion on the road, and then she, like, loses everything, and then, like, accuses him, captures him, goes to the Vale.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then after that, have we seen Lysa again, really? Other than just, we sent her letters and she hasn't helped us out in this war? We haven't, right?
No, we haven't seen her. We've just heard about that. And about Littlefinger going to woo her, and then eventually seeing her when Sansa gets to the Fingers.
Okay, cool. That was like our little funeral for her.
Obituary, eulogy.
Yeah, we recounted her lovely life.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a line here on the second last page where Littlefinger's basically trying to be like, I'm here, I got you, like, just let go of her, don't kill her. And she's like, I saw you kissing in the snow, she's just like her mother, Catelyn kissed you in the Godswood, but she never meant it. She never wanted you. When was this? Did we know this?
Okay, so way back when, Catelyn at one point is remembering as kids, like, playing in the Godswood, and that they would play at kissing each other like kids do.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, so this wasn't even real. This was, like, when they were 8.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, yeah, never mind. I was like, I don't remember this. Because I was like, was this, like, after they were, like, together or something? Like, I'm so confused. Okay, that makes sense. It's also crazy to me, Catelyn, like, she'd be like, oh, yeah, like, when she was talking with Jaime, and Jaime was like, oh, Littlefinger said that, like, he was like, yeah, he took your virginity or whatever, and then Catelyn was like, that's literally not true, what's going on? I feel like even in those thoughts, like, it really seemed to me like she had no idea that Lysa was, like, this head over heels.
Yeah.
And that's also crazy to me. I'm like, y'all were sisters.
Yeah, she only really kind of puts it together with the Tansy thing that her dad's always, like, muttering about.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, this must be Littlefinger.
I think that's also where my thoughts that they had sex more than once and, like, that was not the conception stems from. I'm remembering this thing. I may be wrong. Mm-hmm. So he was drunk that one time and he thought he was having sex with Catelyn. And then I think there was something about once he fights Brandon Stark, he's injured, and that Lysa goes to comfort him and that they have sex again at that time.
Okay.
So, you know?
Right.
So that would also support Littlefinger still to this day thinking he had sex with Catelyn.
Right.
Meanwhile,
and then also Lysa after.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that one was...
There were two separate... Not that he thinks, but that there were two separate incidences, but he doesn't realize that it was the same person. I'm going back to, like, one of the first Catelyn chapter in this book to think that we had Catelyn chapters.
So long ago.
Yeah, I'm just...
Also, quick question about the knife that they tried to kill Bran with. Yes, the dagger. Okay, so it was initially... Wait, so reverse order. Joffrey, Robert, Tyrion, Littlefinger, or Littlefinger just said that it was Tyrion's?
Tyrion never had it.
Tyrion never had it. He just said that Tyrion had it.
Littlefinger. It was Littlefinger's. He lost it to Robert.
Okay, but he said that Tyrion lost it.
Yeah, he said Tyrion lost it because the thing was that he said he bet that Jaime would lose, but Tyrion would never bet against his brother. But Robert totally would, so he won that bet. He won the knife, and he had it in his collection, at which point Joffrey, got a hold of it, and then all of that.
And obviously Littlefinger didn't want to say, oh, it was initially mine. And he didn't say that Robert won it, because he just wanted to frame Tyrion. Like, why didn't he just say, oh, Robert won it? Did he just not want her to turn on Robert?
We don't know. We don't know his exact motivations. We just know that he's a shit stirrer and he stirred that shit.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Sounds so gross now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, but I found it. Okay. According to a wiki of Ice and Fire, which I do trust in this matter, I am right. So there's that night where Peter gets drunk because he tried to kiss Catelyn and Catelyn refused him. And at that point, Lysa Arryn goes and comforts him and they have sex and he calls her Cat. Then when Catelyn is like, he duels Brandon Stark for Catelyn, he gets injured and Lysa helped nurse him. In the following fortnight, so sometime in the next couple weeks, they slept together again. And at this point, Lysa becomes pregnant.
Okay, got it.
So there were two separate instances that I knew there was something missing here. That may be stuff from like future books that I spoiled you on, but I can't remember, so whoops.
Lovely. Okay, good to know.
Because I couldn't find it in this book, but I'm pretty sure we've come upon it, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure I've just forgotten.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I got there, you know? Okay, anything else to add before we wrap up?
So why write to Catelyn and say that? Like, okay.
Shit stir?
So, like, was this some weird ploy to get Catelyn back? Because that would be absolutely insane. That would be, like, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But knowing Peter, like, that's his ultimate motivation for everything, right? So, like, it genuinely could be true, which is even more scary. So, like, but
yeah, but
so
he also,
many years
like,
later,
he's, like, wanted to get back at the River Run people for a while and, like, causing chaos between, like, you know, the aligned houses would be.
Yeah, true. But I don't know, like, yeah, because, and, like, so that also makes me think, like, did he know that Robert, like, did he pick up on, like, oh, Robert's gonna go down to Winterfell and make Ned his hand? Like, do you know what I mean? How much of that is there?
I feel like that's kind of a given, because it's either that Robert picks Tywin to be his hand or Ned to be his hand.
Yeah.
I think those are, or, like, no, it was Jamie at the time, I guess, because we were, like, playing that or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how much he had plans. You know what's a more interesting question to me? Is that when Littlefinger was telling that lie about the dagger, why the fuck was Varys not correcting him?
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's this whole theory, like, we talked a little bit about, like, whether Varys knows where Sansa is and whether, like, he knows about Littlefinger's plans and whether they're working together or not. But that whole thing, there's, like, people who theorize that Varys and Littlefinger are working together.
Ooh.
And I think the linchpin for the for the theory is that Varys is a mermaid. This is the joke linchpin, okay?
Okay.
Varys is a mermaid, and that Littlefinger's ship is called the Mermaid King, or the
something like that.
Something like that. So that he's king over the mermaids, therefore Varys is loyal to him.
That's actually so funny. Especially the show they put on of hating each other. Wouldn't that be so funny?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's actually kind of funny. I like that theory, but just because it's funny.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Are we just gonna sit here and say yeah all night?
No,
or are we gonna wrap this up?
No. Because I think the Varys thing also... No, I just need to make sure that we thought... Because this is a big thing. We've discovered a lot, okay? Because I also wonder, okay, so with the Varys thing, that also makes me think, like, so if Varys didn't correct him, there's got to be a reason. Because I inherently trust Varys a lot more than I trust Littlefinger. So if he's doing something, I'm already a little bit on his side, like, kind of. So, okay, that convicts Tyrion. And if he'd corrected him, that would make Catelyn suspicious of Robert, or there would be something there. But maybe it was just like, so... Is it a protecting, like, the alliance of, like, the royal family with, like, the Winterfells? Is it protecting Joffrey because they figured it was Joffrey and not Robert?
I doubt anybody knew it was Joffrey.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. But, okay, so they did
Maybe
that.
It's one of those threads that George R. R. Martin, like, forgot about.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is just, like... But maybe... Okay, so about killing Jon Arryn, that's also an important point. So was it, like, Lysa's, like, complaining? She's like, this is what he's gonna do. And he's like, well, why don't you just send him off? And then we can be together. And I totally get that would be a great way to convince Lysa. Like, oh, prevent him from sending your son somewhere. Just kill him and then run off, right? But where's Littlefinger's motivations in that? How does that benefit him? And I wonder if it's because, you know, Jon Arryn uncovered the seed is strong. Jon Arryn uncovered... He had that whole presentation about Slint before the council, and we already know that, like, Littlefinger probably was benefiting from that too, and, like, was involved in that. So maybe it was just, like, further, like, killing one of, like, his enemies too, like someone who could kind of be in his way.
Yeah.
Because how Jon Arryn was figuring all of these things out. Yeah. So maybe it was that, and then he could also take advantage of that, and maybe if he wants to, like, get back at the river runs, or, like... You know,
the
like
Tullys,
that. The river runs. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. So I don't know, but there's so many facets, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Not all of it makes sense, which is what's, like, extra
interesting. Yeah, because you can't just, like, make the puzzle and then be like, wow, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this will be one of those pages that I keep coming back to. Definitely gonna have to bookmark it.
Are we done? Do you want to move on to next chapters?
I think so, yes.
We are reading one chapter next time.
So there's only one left?
We are reading one chapter next time.
So there's one left, or are you... Wait, is it because it's so dramatic, so you're splitting it into 1 and 1?
We are reading one chapter next time.
I'm so confused now. You've messed up my whole... What? Okay, we're reading...
Are you looking?
No, I'm thinking. What? Why would I cheat? Do you literally not trust me? No, I was just making sure I had it bookmarked on the right page. Okay.
I'm teasing you. I love you.
Okay, I think it's... Sorry, I just got it. Okay. I think it's Bran. I think we're ending off on Bran.
Really? Why Bran?
Because, okay, who did we end off on book 2, just so I don't sound stupid saying this? Because I was going to say, don't we always end up on a... Oh, wait, no, we don't end on Stark, because we ended with Dany. Wait, did we end with Dany or Rob? I can't remember.
Dany.
I think we... Okay, never mind.
Dragons
we don't always
definitely
end with
trumps Rob's declaration, yeah.
You know what? Rob was pretty cool.
I know, but like in the grand scheme of things, dragons.
Fine. Also, I think it's Bran just because we've already been hanging out with these people a lot. Like, if it ends on Sansa, like, we just had an interesting Sansa chapter. If it ends on Dany, we already had Dany end off a book. I think it'll end on Bran because he's also doing interesting stuff, because maybe we meet this, like, eagle with the eye or whatever, or crow with 3... What is it? 3-headed crow?
3-eyed crow.
Oh.
3-eyed... Yeah.
Whatever it was. Like, maybe we finally meet this creature and that's the magical ending. Like, do you know what I mean? So I feel like we're ending on Bran because he has the potential for
We did end on Bran last book.
Oh, JK, then we're not ending on Bran. Then we're ending on... Let's end on...
Okay, just give me one name and then we're moving on.
Let's end on Arya. Oh, Arya's could be interesting because magic, faceless... Yeah, okay. Arya.
Okay.
Arya.
Well, you're wrong about all of those because the next chapter is the epilogue.
What?
First ever epilogue of the series.
Wait, why did he write 3 books and now suddenly he's like, epilogue?
I don't know. Why did he? So, prologues, what we know about is that it's some random character
who dies.
Yes, yeah, basically. So, do you want to apply those to the epilogue, or do you want to guess who or where or what we're going to be doing?
Is it like a time jump or something?
I don't know. You tell me.
Is it like a different world and then we're going to come back into this world?
Multiverse of Song of...
Not multiverse. Like, I just mean, like, you know how we had that, like, the ranging, and then we never heard about that world for, like, the rest of the book until Jon went there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe... I'm trying to think of a place that someone has left. Ooh, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking it'll be, like, maybe, like, something to do with, like, the Greyjoys and, like, that whole area, and maybe we'll see some inkling of, like, the Faceless, like, Jaqen Hagar, like, maybe something, like, just some sort of magical little thing that'll tie it all together. That's what I'm thinking.
And whose POV are we going to be in?
Maybe it's from the perspective of Asha, let's just say.
So she's going to die?
She could.
Okay, do you think the person whose POV it is going to die?
No.
Okay.
It could also just, like, not be a POV. We could just, like, see things happen. That would be cool.
We're not gonna. We are always gonna have a POV. I'm just gonna tell you
whatever.
Right.
Okay. Okay, the person whose POV it is not gonna die, because it's an epilogue, not a prologue.
And then we'll have the same person in the prologue, and then they're gonna die then.
Of course, exactly. Actually, you know what would be really interesting? If the epilogue was Theon.
Okay, interesting. So you're thinking he's alive?
Weren't we, like, unsure if he died?
Here's what we were at.
Okay.
So, he dies for all intents and purposes, you know? And then, all of a sudden, Roose Bolton is at the twins with Robb and Catelyn, presenting them with finger skin, saying it's Theon's, and that Theon is being held by his son, Ramsay Snow.
So was that just a whole ploy of, like,
and
Ramsay?
That was like, do we believe this guy? Do we like okay. It's finger skin. How do you, like, identify finger skin?
Okay, then never mind. It'll just be like Asha.
But, like, it could be true. Like, we know he was plotting against Robb's death, so why would he have a reason to lie to him? Maybe I don't know.
Maybe. Okay. What if it's like I'm just gonna predict everybody. What if it's like Rickon and Osha?
No, where are you on the Theon dead, none dead, or not dead?
I feel like he's not dead, because we keep having people come back.
Okay.
Maybe he's
like
not
who?
dead.
Who came back?
Bran, Rickon,
a book ago.
Okay, yeah, that could happen again. Arya?
Okay, fair enough. That was this book.
You know, it happens.
That's true. Okay. Were you gonna end on Theon or somebody else?
Yeah, maybe it's like the Mountain's final moments before he dies, and like someone comes and gets him and tells. Maybe it's the Knights guys. What were their names? The Kingsmen, not the Knights guys. The Kingsmen.
Who?
The sword guy. The bald guy, the one Arya was with, the Kingsmen that Arya was with Jory.
The Brotherhood without banners?
Oh, yes, them. But they called themselves, like, the Kingsmen.
Sure. But like, Stannis's Kingsmen.
Okay, yeah.
We have a lot of Kingsmen.
Okay, fine.
Anybody who follows a king is a Kingsman, basically. Okay, so... Is it going to be one of the Brotherhood without banners then?
Yeah, sure.
On Pike, like in the Iron Islands or something.
Sure.
Okay, we are too tired for this. Okay, so...
Okay, now I'm looking at the space between where this chapter starts and the ending, and I'm scared, because this is probably like 30 pages.
It's a long, yeah.
That's kind of scary, wow.
It's not that long, but it's long.
Yeah. Wow.
Just don't read ahead, okay? Just take it in.
Okay.
All right. People.
This book is over. That's so sad.
Nearly. Not quite. Nearly.
Okay, I'm scared. You said it had to be beyond my wildest dreams, though. So I'm like, who in this chapter would be like... Is it like Ned coming back? Like, what's... You know, like... That would be the best surprise.
I don't even know where Ned's bones are anymore. They got lost somewhere along the way.
True. Maybe it's those ladies and they're carrying his bones, and that's what we'll see.
I mean, typical. People, follow us on Instagram. It's Pop Culture Symposium, or at Pop Culture Symposium. Our email is popculturesymposium@gmail.com. And also, join the Discord and chat it up.
Also, we're doing a bunch of fun bonus episodes. Should we tell them about it?
We will definitely be covering the third final written Duncan Egg book.
The third one's the final one?
That has so far come out.
Oh.
Third of like 12 planned or something.
That's crazy. Yeah, those are not making it.
Yeah. And then something else, which you will see at some point. No, wait. We literally had this discussion on
Exactly.
air.
That's what I'm saying. Just to remind people. Okay. So, we are going to... Okay. So, after this episode that you're currently listening to, we got the epilogue. The episode after is going to be our wrap-up episode, which is so fun and exciting. And then the episode after that will be the third Duncan Egg novella vibes. And then after that, we're going to be covering the second episode of Season 1 of Game of Thrones. We covered the first episode a few months ago, and now we're back, and it'll be so exciting. And then eventually we'll start the fourth book, but we're just gonna, like, savor in this little fun place for now.
Yeah. People had to wait, like, 5 years for that book, so... So, until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.